Okay, guys, 11 new income producing properties at the market today. Let's check them out, see which ones can make us money and which ones won't. So, first property up, let's see here. We're going to click there. We're going to go over here. Sweet. We're going to sort this by price per square foot. And we're going to start with the most expensive one, which is ridiculously out of price. All right. It's this tiny 1,000. Maybe there's an error, right? So sometimes there are errors in this, but let's analyze this anyway. $1,190,000 is what they want for this. Whoop, I put one too many zeros there. And they're currently paying in taxes, well, not that much. But if you buy it for this price, you better believe your taxes will go up. 6.4. Okay. Square feet wise, they say it's only about 1,100 square feet and they want that much for it. However, they are saying that they're collecting $5,400 a month, which is a good chunk of change for something that small. So I'm interested to see what it is that they're actually renting out here. Now let's take a look at the quality of the property, and that's going to let us know what we could expect from the rents. Well, this is grade A, right? Like this is top tier property finishes, even though it's tiny, right? What is this? A 2-bedroom, 1 bath, maybe? Let's check it out. So let's look at the listing here. It's in Hialeah, high demand area. It's a duplex, okay? And it's two twos, and each one is actually 1,085 square feet. So it's double the size. So, right? So it's about, let's just go over here, equals 2x that. So it's still expensive as hell by a square foot, but it's a lot better than $1,000. All right, now that is the maximum rent that they're saying that they could get. Let's do a quick little rent check and see if that's accurate. In Miami-Dade, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath could go for $2,300. They're putting $2,700 for a 2-2 because it has that additional bathroom. I think that bathroom does or can provide that marginal utility to actually, give you another $400 there in rent. So I think that is true. However, I think that that's also the max. So basically $2 million for this duplex in Miami-Dade. I think that this is the max rent that you could collect. And so we'll put that here on the calculator. And that actually turns out to be a return here for this property, right? Of 5.7% return on investment, right? So that's going to be the highest that this property is going to be able to give us. Now, do I think that we could drop the price on this property? I do. I think that, it's realistic if you guys just showed this to the seller. That like as an investment property, this just doesn't make sense. It's beautiful, but it just doesn't make sense, right? So I would expect probably like $120,000 price drop on this house, right? Like about 10%. So bringing this down to maybe like $1,070,000. So 1,070,000,000. Whoops, not too many zeros there. So whoop. There we go. Don't know how to count my zeros, guys. All right, but if you drop 120 grand on this house, right, the returns actually just jump up to 6.1% return on investment, which is not a whole lot anyway. Now let's see if this guy's in any kind of distress when it comes to like his back taxes or anything like that. We'll come down here. We'll look. Nope, no kind of distress. So I don't think that this guy's going to take that much off the price. Usually, if they do, like it's because they're in some kind of a bind. He might just decide to rent it out and realize that he can't really get these good of a returns for the property. Maybe he overspent, and at that point he's going to really have to decrease the price. So if you want to end up with this house and you want it at a price that makes sense, you're going to need to be somewhere around 700,000. So he's going to have to take off $500,000 from his price for this property to start making some real sense. So with that being said, big hard F, we'll discard, keep going. Now, next property up, 1.25 million, 1250. Okay, they're currently paying in taxes $15,411 a year in taxes, square feet 1,850. Okay, are they collecting rents? No, the next 4 houses don't even tell us that they're collecting rents. Let's look at the quality of the property. All right. Yeah, so I would say that the quality is like A quality. Sorry, not an A quality. This is like a C. So this is like very mid, right? It's turnkey. You come in here, you don't have to do anything, and you could probably rent that out for like median rents. Yeah, I like the big old like head here. It's cool. All right, let's look at the guts of this. See if we can make this deal make sense. Because right now it's not making sense. All right, so it's 222s, same thing, right? Just like the last property, they want 1.2 for it. The only disadvantage is that this is in Pompano Beach, so they're going to be getting a lot less money than the Miami one was getting. Okay, in Pompano Beach, you can see the average for a 2-1 compared to Miami-Dade, $2,300, 1960. So about 300 and what, $40 difference. So same thing here goes for the complete 2-2. And this is not even as pretty as the last property. So I would say that maybe, they're going to be getting um, maybe like, let me see, they might get like, I would say $2,100, honestly. And that's, I think, at the top end here. So again, 1.25 duplex, Broward. I think the max rent is 4,200. That means that the return on investment for this house at best is a 3.9%, one of the worst we've seen all year, right? Is this guy in some sort of distress? Let's take a look at the folio number. No, no distress. Okay, so this guy's just trying to get all this money for this multifamily. It just makes zero sense whatsoever. So right, it's not next to the water. He just thinks it's pretty, but it's just a median kind of property. So with that being said, right, how much do you think that you could actually drop the price before this guy tells you to like bugger off? Probably another 1.2. Let's say like you take $150,000 off, you end up at 1,100,000, right? I think that that's the most that this guy would probably take, before he like runs you off the property. Um, and even if you are able to do that, that means that the best that this property can do is a 4.2% return on investment, which is totally garbage, guys. And you know that, everybody knows that. So we'll go ahead, we'll discard this property and we will keep looking. Okay, another crazy $1 million property. This time it's $2.3 million. Let's put it up here on the calculator. All right, and they're currently paying in taxes $27,051 a year. And square feet wise, it is 3,476 square feet. Whoops. 3,476 square feet. All right, now they're not telling us again how much they're collecting in rents. Let's look at the quality of the property. It's in the middle of like more multifamily. It's right next to the beach. That is nice. It's a great location. Those are the only pictures they give us, so we don't know what it looks like on the inside. All right, but let's look at the guts of this deal and see what we could figure out. Amazing. So it's an Airbnb. That's how they're running it. They're willing to do owner finance. All right, proof of funds, yada, yada, yada. But guys, it's only 2 1-1s. What? Has a large 3-bedroom apartment and another and 4 other large 1-bedrooms to rent. Have a beautiful large 3-bedroom apartment and 4 other large 1-bedrooms. So it's 5 units. It's 5 units here. Okay. So Hollywood Beach, okay, a 3-bedroom right by the water. Okay, now let's look at the median rents. We're in Broward County. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath could go for, they're $2,700. Being that it's right next to the beach, let's give this guy the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that he gets the full $3,800, which is the highest that I previously saw, for actually rented duplexes, like 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes. So 3,800. And then he has 4 1-1s. So let's just put equals 4 times. Let's give him the maximum of the 1-1s, give him the benefit of the doubt that this property is just amazing on the inside, $2,600. And that means that the total that he could possibly collect every single month in long-term rents here, because that's what we do, is $14,200. And he wants $2.3 million for this. And this is a 5-unit. Right? That means that the best return that this property is going to be able to give him is going to be an 8.1%, which is the best of the night, but it's still terrible, right? As far as the 1% rule, it's just above half of the 1% rule, okay? This will just barely pay for your mortgage, right? But not leave you with enough money to make repairs, account for vacancies, or capital expenditures like long-term repairs. So with that being said, right, I think that those are the highest possible rents for long term. The question is, how much can you actually decrease the price? And I think that 10% would be, I think, for this property, easy to ask for, just because again, it's not really paying for much apart from just covering the mortgage. So, with that being said, that would be about $200,000. Okay, so let's say 250. If you could take out 250, so you would end up at, whoops, escape. Where were we? 2,050,000, right? So if you could drop a $250,000 off the price of this property, the best return on investment this property is going to afford you is going to be a 9.5, which is still below the S&P. Doesn't really make sense to do. Now, is this guy in some sort of dire straits here with taxes? Can we look at the folio number here and find out? No, he's not. So again, he'll probably run you off the property if you tell him that you want, a bigger discount than that. So we'll go ahead, discard this one, keep looking. Okay, 775,000. We're below the $1 million mark. Yay. Although there's more here in line. It's a duplex in Miami-Dade. They're currently paying $5,178 a year in taxes. Square feet, 1,608 square feet. Okay. Again, they don't tell us how much you're collecting in rents. Let's look at the quality of the property. There's only one picture, and that's it. The awnings look kind of like busted. Sorry, the gutters look a little bit busted here. The grass doesn't look like completely great, but it is what it is. That's all that we get. Let's look at the inside of this deal, see what we could find out. It's a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. Okay. They're small, 900 square feet and 700 square feet. Okay. But it is in Miami. So what was it? A 3 and a 2? Yeah, a 3 and a 2. So given the way the property is shown, the median price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Miami is $3,000. So let's give them that. And then for the 2-bedroom, we'll come here and you guys can see it here. The 2-bedroom in Miami-Dade is $2,300. So let's put that there. Right. And that comes out to $5,300, which is probably going to be about 60, maybe like about 60% of the between 60 and 70% of the 1% rule, that means that the property is not going to look all that great. Now, what makes it look great in terms of the debt service coverage ratio is the fact that these taxes are so low. But if you buy it for over $750,000, your taxes will probably go up to like $15,000 or somewhere around there. So that would make the deal, again, go back down to 102% in DSCR, which is not that great. So, yeah, realistically, this property, right, 775K, it's a duplex in Miami-Dade, is going to be collecting about $5,300. And the return here at best is going to be a 7.6% return. Now, I think that you could maybe get a little bit more in rent, but I just don't know the quality of the inside. But I do like these doors here. If you guys could see these doors here, they're the glass doors, which, they're expensive. These glass front doors are really expensive. So, if the rest of the property looks that way, then it's looking good. And maybe you could get a little bit more rent here. Maybe you get like $3,500. Maybe you get like $2,500. That's the best case scenario. And that means that you're collecting $6,000 a month in rent. The guy, again, is not in some sort of like stress. At least it didn't look like from the folio number. Let's check just one more time. Yeah, nope, no problem here. All right. And if you could drop the price now, how much do you think that you could drop the price here? If you drop the price 10%, let's say that you get the guy to take off the 75K, right? 75K down. That means that the best return this property could give you, if you could knock out that much, is an 11.8%. Sorry, okay, which isn't terrible, but it's still very much like D plus territory. Like D's don't get degrees, C's get degrees, and this is not a C property. So for that reason, I would discard this one. Keep going. Okay, we're down to 7 properties, guys. All right, the next one up is a $1.3 million triplex. This one's in Broward County. All right, so let's put that up here on the calculator. 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Triplex, Broward County. They're currently paying $17,680 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,738 square feet. Now rent. How much are these properties renting for? We don't know. 0, 0. So let's find out. Okay, so here we go. It's we're in Broward County, right? They say it's in a good area. I think the Whole Foods is nearby. So yeah, it's a good area, right? A 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and a 3-3. Now they're saying that they're telling us right here what the rents are. They're saying that the 2-1 rents for $2,350, which makes sense. The other 2-1 rents for $1,625, which is crazy. And then the 3-3 is not being rented right now. So definitely we got to take a look at this property, but let's see what the quality of the property of the pictures. And I totally missed doing that. So let's do it now. This is really nice. So there's like B plus, if not A quality finishes. On the outside, it doesn't look all that great, but the location is fantastic. All right, so he should be renting. I think that that's what he's getting right now. That means that the return on investment on this property right now, he's only collecting $39.75 in rents, right? Is a 3.2% return. Now, what I think you can get in rents here, right? For the 2-1s, I think you can get even more than 2,350, but they're really small 2-1s. They're 536 square feet. So yeah, maybe that. All right. So 2,350 here. Yeah, I think you could get more. I think you probably get 2,400. All right. Now the 3-bedroom, 3-bath though, right? Remember the median here in Broward County is $2,700, but given the area that it's at, and it's a big one, almost 1,400 square feet, I think that this could easily go for like 3,500 if it's that quality of like if it's that nice on the inside, which makes that this property could collect as much as $8,300 a month. Now I didn't see if this guy's in some sort of like if we look at the folio number, if it reports that he's due on taxes, nope, he's not. So I don't really see this guy dropping a whole lot more than like 10% off the purchase price. If he does that, that's $130,000 off. That means that you end up here at 1170, right? And that would mean that the best return this property could afford you, if you knock out 130K, okay, 130K, and if you increase rents by almost double, more than double actually, the best returns that this property is going to give you is going to be a 9% return on investment. So imagine going through all that work and still have some guy that's sitting on his couch beating you with the S&P 500, right? Not a good feeling. So for that reason, we'll discard this one. Okay, next property up. Let's see here. $1.1 million. And this property is it's a duplex. And it's in Miami-Dade. And square feet wise, 2,430. And, oh, sorry. Total rents. I'm writing down the wrong stuff. $4,400. In rents, flood zone X, which is the best kind of flood zone you could ask for. Let's look at the quality of the property and see what we could figure out. New roof, corner lot. Okay, pretty far away from. Okay, and the inside, I would describe this inside as a C. Okay, it's very dated. It's like a C plus, maybe B minus. Yeah, B minus. Chain link fence isn't the nicest. Yeah, I would say B minus for this property. All right, so with that being said, let's take a look at the inside here and see what we could figure out. It's 232s. They're renting at $2,200 a month, which is wild. That's very little, I think. Because especially being in Miami-Dade, right? This should be renting out for more money, especially because they're that big, almost 1,200 square feet. So unless there's something wrong with the neighborhood or with that, you could definitely get more in rents. Now, that would mean that if you just get what they're getting right now for rents, the best return on investment that this property is going to give you is going to be a 3.8%, guys. and that's damn terrible. 3.8. Okay. So what's the best that we could actually get here? Well, it's 232s. Okay. We're in Miami-Dade, right? So look at this. And the median for 3.2 is $3,000. They're already, losing about $1,600 here a month. But I think that they could actually get maybe even a little bit more, maybe like $3,300, right? I don't think it's too far off for this location in Miami. Oops, not 33,000, 3,300. All right. But that's still going to be far away from where we need to be at. It's going to be about 60% of where we need to be, right? Less than that even. And so for that reason, 60% on the 1% rule, this guy's not in distress. Now, if we could bring the price down about 100, let's say $120,000. So now we're at 1,050,000, right? The best return here, and that's dropping at 150K, is going to be just 6.6% return on investment, which is pretty damn terrible, right? So let's go ahead, let's discard this property, and we're down to 5. Okay, next up, it's a triplex in Miami-Dade, and they want a cool $1.1 million for it. They're currently paying $15,488 a year in taxes. Interest rate is what it is. Square feet, 2,511 square feet. All right, let's look at the rents. They're not telling us the rents. Let's look here at the pictures, see what the property looks like. Yeah, so it's a little bit older on the inside. It needs remodeling, right? The roof looks a little bit older too. So I would give this property a C. Just, yeah, yeah. C class, C class finishes. Okay. And now let's look at the inside. Let's look at the guts of this deal, see what we can figure out. All right, 10 minutes from Brickell, 10 minutes, yada, yada, yada. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths across 3 fully independent units. So it's a 2-2, a 2-1, and a 1-1. All right, so let's figure this out, guys. A 2-2 in Miami, right? Could probably go for about $2,500, maybe 20. Let's look here at the median rents, right? So the median rent for a 2-1 is $1,960. Sorry, $2,300 in Miami-Dade. So 2-2, but it's median type. So I would say maybe like $2,500. The 2-1, I would say I'm just gonna give them the median because their quality is about there. And then the 1-1, $1,600. So the best return on investment here, or the best returns here in revenue, are going to be about $6,400 a month, right? It's in Miami-Dade. It's a duplex, and they want 1.1. Yeah. So that means that the best returns that this property is going to afford you off the bat is going to be 6.3%. Now, I do think that that's going to be the highest rents that you're going to be able to get here, 6,400. And let's see if this guy's kind of, the Foley number tells us any story in terms of the taxes. Nope. He doesn't seem to owe anything on taxes here, so he's not super motivated in terms of that, at least. Let's see if what a realistic price reduction. If you took off $100,000 from this deal, right? Would it make sense? It wouldn't, right? Like your returns there, the highest one is going to be a 7.2%, and that's dropping 100K, and assuming that you're going to get these crazy good rents for the property. So a 7.2% return. Guys, I think every single deal that we've seen today, except for one, and it's a D, so it's also failing. It's a failing grade. They've all been failures, right? So I think we're down to our last 4. Let's discard this property, and let's take a look at those. And hopefully one of these last 4 makes sense. All right, this one is 760K. So let's put that up here, 760. And they are paying taxes $12,181 a year in taxes. And square feet, 1,996 square feet. Now, I am seeing something out of the corner of my eye that I really like. They're saying that they're collecting $8,100 a month in rent. And if that's the case, right, then guys, this is a 1% property all day long, right? Oh, something happened to There we go. It's over a 1% property. Now, before we get excited, let's look at the quality of the property and let's look at the guts of the deal. So it's older, but it's really pretty. All right. It's dated on the inside, but it's very clean. Granite countertops, almost like kind of like Miami Timeless, right? The bathroom's really nice. They redid the bathroom and it came out really nice. Good taste. Well taken care of property. Not a fan of the mini split, but it is what it is. It almost looks like a single family home, so we'll check the folio, make sure. What the hell was that? That bathroom looks like out of a third world country, but okay. All right, let's double check, make sure that this is in fact a fourplex and not some sort of single family home. Damn, single family home, guys. All right. Sometimes realtors will do this. They'll put up properties that are single family homes, and they'll tell you that they're selling it as a duplex. And this is the breakdown, guys. He says that there's a 3-1 that he's renting for 3,200, 1-1s that are being rented for 1,600, 1,800, and 1,500. All those numbers kind of make sense. All those numbers kind of like match, right? So if you actually want to buy this and keep it this way, okay, the property could make $8,100. If it does do that, right, the best return this property could give you could be at 36%, which is not bad at all, right? Like this property would cash flow even if you bought it. Like now, you couldn't buy this using FHA because FHA will say like, hey, it's a single family home. There should be only one kitchen. They won't fund you. But anything outside from that, like would fund you. And so, definitely, well, you should ask. You should make sure and ask. Sometimes they get, if there's more than one kitchen there, but because it's supposed to be used for like a single family, right? But you could ask. But this property, if you buy it just as an investor, this property, I mean, let's see here, right? If you buy it cash, it'll return you your cash in 10 years, right? If you're able to finance it as soon as 4, right? You'll double your investment in cash in 9 years, right? So not a bad deal at all. I would actually, even consider this sending to a couple of like clients just because some of these people don't care, right? But if you're doing FHA or whatnot, then this deal is definitely not for you. Single family home, actually. It's in Miami-Dade. It's collecting about $8,100. All right. The best return on investment here is going to be at 36%. Now, do I think they could drop the price on this? Yeah, we're in negotiation land, and he's not going to get any offers apart from investors, especially if he's divided the apartment up, in all kinds of crazy ways. So I would go ahead and say like, yeah, that's probably going to be the best that he's going to be able to get here. Maybe you can negotiate off maybe 5%, or yeah, bring this guy back down to like, let's say you take off 35K. And so now you end up at 725, especially if you're buying cash. Then the return on investment on here only gets better, guys, at a 44.8%. And I think these are the highest rents that you're able to get. So, this is the best property so far today. But again, it's not a real multifamily. It's a single family home. No, and another property hit the market while we were talking. So, fair enough. All right, let's take a look at this one. Let's go back here. $699,000. All right, they're paying $8,591 a year in taxes. Square feet, 1,850 square feet. Let's look at the rents here. $5,600 a month. That's what they're getting. All right, which isn't bad at all already, right? So let's take a look at the pictures. This is nice. This is solid B, on the insides. Yeah, this is nice. So it's above the median, I think, grade. We looked at the pictures already. Let's look at the guts of this deal. So it's 232s and they're being rented for $2,800, right? And again, we're in Miami-Dade. They should be renting out for a little bit more, right? Especially because they look like they're pretty big. The apartments look like they're pretty nice. So I'm a little bit surprised that they're renting out for that little, and it's got a lot of space. So right now they're just renting out for, again, 2,800, $699,000 duplex, Miami-Dade, 5,600. When the returns are already not that bad, guys, right? These are like C's. C's get degrees. 12.7% return. Now the question is here, how much can we increase these rents by, right? And I think that it's not out of mind to say you could get at least $3,000 for these 3-bedroom, 2 baths. Okay, yeah, not at all. And if you could actually get $3,000 each, that means that the highest that you're going to be able to collect is 6K. And man, if you could just negotiate even $50,000 off this price, right? And you could bring, he's 699. Let's say you take off 24 grand, and you're at 675, right? You could go up to a 17%, and that's pretty damn close to like basically an A kind of a property. So by taking 25K off, you could end up here at a 17.4%. And I think that as a traditional investment, right, you could buy this FHA all day freaking long, right? And look here, guys, you'd be cash flow positive in 5 years. And God forbid, guys, interest rates were to go down, right? And you could refinance later. And let's say you end up like at a 4.5%, you'd be cash flowing that same day. You would go sign your refinance, and you'd be cash flowing the very next month. So not a bad deal at all. Not a bad deal. Probably the best deal I've seen today. So let's discard this one. Let's keep looking, and let's look at these. So it's $995,000, and this is a fourplex in Broward County, and they say that they are collecting $73.60 per month. Now it's flood zone AE, which isn't the best, but let's take a look at the pictures here. I love the color. It's the same color I painted my duplexes. Well, no, mine's a nicer color. Uh, but on the inside, on the inside, it still requires work. Look at this stuff up here. Not nice. Yeah, it's okay. This is like a B minus. I'm tripping out with that bathroom. Yeah, that backyard is awesome. Holy cow. Awesome backyard. I wonder what's there, like a septic tank or what? Dude, is that real grass? If that's real grass, like freaking kudos to you, dude. Or is it AI? It might be AI, but it might not be. It looks really good. If you use like Banana Pro 2 or whatever to do that, because that looks awesome. Grass A plus. Inside B minus. All right, now let's take a look at the deal here and see how they are structuring this. So turnkey fourplex investment opportunity in rapidly growing Oakland Park. Fully renovated 4-unit property featuring spacious 2-bedroom, 1-bath layouts. Okay. Listed at only $2,480 per unit makes this a great deal. Okay, so let's put the right number up on the calculator because we don't have it there. And it's 995. And in taxes, I forgot to put here what they're getting in taxes. $20,000. So it's a chunk of change, this damn tax. And the interest rate right now is actually, guys, is 6.36. And square feet, almost 3,000 square feet, 2,976 square feet. Now, let's see. He says that it's 421s. And does he tell us how much? Yeah, he told us $7,300, right? So 2,000, 1,600, 2,000, 1,700. Yep. 7360. Yep, that's what I have here. And if that's the deal, guys, then the best return on investment this property is going to give you is an 8%, which isn't all that great. Now, I think that you could increase the rents, right? I mean, the maximum rent that he's getting here is $2,000. So why can't they all get 2,000 bucks? So, and again, we are in Oakland Park, a two-bedroom, one bath. You know, they look all right. I think you could get $2,000 easy, yeah. So I think that the maximum that you could actually get here is about 8 grand in rent. Now, is he motivated because he owes taxes? Let's find out. No. All right, cool. Well, no problem. What do I think that you could actually negotiate off this purchase price? Man, I think that you could easily, you know, tell this guy like, hey, listen, I'll give you $70,000 less. So I think a 925 all cash, he would need to consider that like strongly. But at that point, the best return this property is going to give you is 11% return on investment, which again, like go through all this hard work, negotiate almost 100K off, increase the rents by like, you know, $700, basically $700 a month. And still you're just outpacing the S&P by 1%. To me, it's not worth it. There's way better properties out there. So for that reason, I would discard this property. All right. Now our last property of the day. Very accessible purchase price, 549,000. All right, it's a duplex in Broward County. The taxes right now are $7,242 a year. All right, interest rates are what they are. Square feet wise, 1,818 square feet. And it is what it is. All right, let's look at the pictures here. That's it. All right, so there's only 5 pictures and we don't know what the inside looks like, but on the outside, it kind of looks like trash. So let's look at the property. It's in Washington Park in Fort Lauderdale. They said it's a 2-1 and a 3-2. The 2-1 is rented for $1,400 and the 3-2 is rented for $2,300. Well, guys, the best return on investment that this property is going to give you is going to be right now, if you just buy it and rent it the way that it is at $549, $550 with rents of $37. The best return is going to be a 7.9%. And that's pretty freaking trash. So with that being said, what are the best possible rents? Guys, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You should be able to get, you know, I think $3,000 is not like too far off, but let's say $2,900 at least. We don't know what the insides look like, but you know, not assuming that they're not terrible, $2,900 I think is reasonable. And for the 2-1, dude, you know, it's big. This property is big, 1,800 square feet. All right. What do I think that you get? Well, let's look at the math here. Let's look at the numbers, the real numbers. The median in Broward County is 1960 for a 2-1. I don't think that he gets 1960, but maybe he does get 1750. Okay. And that means that I think that you could get as much, depending on the quality, because we have no pictures right now, as much as 4650. Again, is this guy owing back taxes? Let's find out. He's not. Okay. Now, how much can you negotiate off the purchase price? I think that this guy, honestly, if he sees $500,000 in his bank account, if it's all paid off, he'd be happy. So if you take off 50 grand from the purchase price, the best return on investment this property could potentially give you is 17%, which is pretty damn good. But again, there's a lot of things that you need to consider here. Can you drop the price 50K and can you increase the rents to what I'm saying here, 1750 and 2900? It shouldn't be that difficult to do, especially in Fort Lauderdale. And the property does look pretty nice. And if you do some upgrades, like, you know, you could totally, I think, improve it and make it better. It's not a bad price to be in Broward County. All right. Now just make sure to take a look at the neighborhood and the rents in that neighborhood to validate the numbers that, you know, I think that the property could get and compare it to the quality of the property on the inside. But with that being said, guys, that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions, drop it in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer them tomorrow. See ya.